Why do you feel broke even when your paycheck just went up? Why does money vanish faster than you can track it? You promise yourself, next month I'll do better, and yet here you are, stuck in the same cycle. The frustrating truth? It's not about how much you earn, it's about how you think about money. Some generations seem to have cracked the code without ever flaunting it. They don't panic when bills hit, they don't live paycheck to paycheck, and somehow they always seem ahead. One generation in particular mastered habits most of us ignore: Gen X. They're not earning more, they just think about money differently, in ways you probably haven't considered. They delay gratification when the rest of us chase instant upgrades. They let fear guide discipline instead of stress controlling them. And they control their lifestyle growth instead of letting it control them. Some of these behaviors seem subtle or even boring, but here's the kicker: the results are powerful. Once you see what Gen X does differently, you won't just nod along. You'll start questioning everything you've been doing with your own money. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover, step by step, in this video. Let's be honest, when you hear Gen X money habits, your brain probably tunes out. It sounds safe, boring, like something that doesn't matter to you. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most people ignore the small things that actually shape their financial future because they don't feel urgent. But those tiny habits, they quietly build security while everyone else is chasing flashy upgrades. And here's the question you're already asking: what exactly are they doing that I'm not? Why do they seem more stable, more in control, even if they're not earning more than I am? The truth isn't luck or privilege, it's psychology in action. Small decisions repeated over years create results that compound silently. And here's the kicker: you might already be doing some of the right things, yet missing the one mindset shift that makes all the difference. Something as simple as how you track, prioritize, or protect your money. This video isn't about copying Gen X, it's about spotting the patterns that quietly determine who gets ahead and who stays stuck. Once you see them, you'll realize that being behind isn't fate, it's a choice you've been making without even realizing it. And once you recognize that, everything changes. Here's where things start to shift, and it's probably not what you expect. Most people think Gen X got ahead because they had better timing or fewer expenses, but the real difference? They were willing to look behind to actually get ahead. They didn't care about appearing successful, they cared about being secure, and that mindset changes everything. Think about your own habits for a second. How often do you upgrade something just because it feels like the next step? A new phone, a better car, a slightly more expensive lifestyle. Not because you need it, but because it matches where you think you should be. Gen X played a different game. They kept the same car for years, even when they could afford better. They stayed in good enough situations while their money quietly grew in the background. And here's the truth most people don't realize. People don't go broke from one big mistake. They go broke upgrading their life too early. That's the trap. Because when your lifestyle grows as fast as your income, you're not building wealth, you're maintaining an image. And that's why so many people feel stuck, even when they're earning more than ever before. Most people think their problem is they don't earn enough. It's not. It's how they react to fear. Because when money gets tight, something automatic kicks in, and most people don't even notice it. They stress, they feel pressure, and then they spend it to escape it. But Gen X did? They were wired differently. They saw parents lose jobs. They watched households cut back overnight. They experienced what happens when money disappears, and that stayed with them. That kind of exposure builds something most people today struggle with: controlled reactions. Not motivation, not discipline for a week, long-term control. Let me ask you something. When things feel uncertain, do you actually pull back, or do you justify spending just to feel normal again? Because that one reaction decides everything. Here's the truth: most people don't have a money problem, they have a reaction problem. Gen X didn't run from financial pressure, they leaned into it. They saved more when things felt unstable. They prepared while others distracted themselves. And over time, that created something powerful: resilience. Meanwhile, today's pattern is the opposite. Fear leads to avoidance, stress leads to spending, and slowly, money starts controlling you. But here's the shift: fear isn't the problem, misusing it is. Use it right, and it forces you to build a life that can actually hold up. The moment you start earning more is the moment most people get stuck. It sounds backwards, but watch what happens. Your income goes up. You feel proud. You feel like you're finally moving forward. And then quietly, your life starts getting more expensive. Not all at once, just small shifts. You start paying for convenience you never needed before. Subscriptions, upgrades, better versions of everything slowly become your new normal. And every step feels justified. I worked for this. And you're right, but here's where it flips. Gen X didn't upgrade their lifestyle as fast as their income. They created a gap. And that gap, that's where wealth actually grows. Here's the rule most people never learn. If your income grows faster than your lifestyle, you build wealth. If your lifestyle grows faster, you build pressure. And today, most people are building pressure without even realizing it. Because the moment your expenses rise with your income, you're not getting ahead, you're just upgrading the version of broke you're living in. That's why this trap is so dangerous. It doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like progress. And by the time you notice it, you're earning more than ever and still stuck in the exact same place. Most people can't tell where 20% of their money disappears each month. That's not accidental, it's invisible leaks. You're not losing it in big, obvious ways. It's the silent drains that happen every day. Subscriptions you barely use, food delivery because you're tired, random online purchases that feel harmless in the moment. None of it seems like a problem, but over weeks and months, it quietly adds up. Gen X didn't have this level of instant spending. There was friction. You had to pause, consider, and decide. Today, tap, click, done. No pause, no awareness. Ask yourself, if I asked you where 20% of your money went last month, could you answer without guessing? Most can't. That's the problem. Money doesn't vanish. It gets redirected into things you no longer notice. And here's the hidden advantage Gen X had. They were aware. They tracked. They questioned. They built friction into spending. Over time, those small leaks turn into lost opportunities, money that could have been saved, invested, or used to grow. Instead, it quietly disappears until you're left frustrated wondering why, despite working hard, your finances aren't moving forward. Awareness is the first step, and noticing these invisible leaks is where change begins. Here's what most people completely miss about building wealth and why Gen X quietly got it right. They didn't just save money, they created systems that made money work for them. Automatic transfers, regular contributions, small, consistent investments that grew quietly over decades. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just relentless, disciplined action. And the best part? You don't need a huge income to do it. Even putting $50 a month into an index fund for 30 years would grow far beyond a flashy car or vacation. Now compare that to how most people treat extra cash today. Raise, bonus, tax refund, gone instantly. Upgraded lifestyle, treats, convenience. Gen X saw it differently. They asked one simple question before spending. Will this help me get ahead or keep me stuck? That tiny mindset shift changes everything. Money stops being something you chase and starts being something you control. Over time, the math doesn't lie. Small, deliberate actions consistently taken create far greater results than big, inconsistent gestures. The real question isn't whether you can afford to start, it's whether you can afford not to. Most people chase instant gratification. Gen X chased freedom, and it changed everything. While the earn, spend, repeat loop traps most people, Gen X saw money as a tool for choice, not just temporary happiness. They asked questions others ignore. How much do I need to feel secure? How can I create options instead of obligations? Every decision, what to buy, how to invest, was guided by that mindset. And here's the kicker. It wasn't extreme or flashy. Even small choices mattered. They delayed buying the latest tech, not because they couldn't afford it, but because that money freed them to invest or save. That tiny discipline compounded into safety nets, flexibility, and peace of mind most people never experience. Imagine never worrying about bills, never feeling the pressure to keep up, because your money serves you, not the other way around. That's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and truly living with control. The secret is simple. Make decisions today that give you choices tomorrow. Every small intentional action adds up, and your future self will thank you for it. That's what financial independence really looks like, and why Gen X quietly mastered it. Comparison is silently killing your wealth, and you probably don't even notice. Social media, peers, ads, they all scream, keep up, Upgrade. Don't fall behind. Most people chase lifestyles, not wealth. They upgrade cars, gadgets, houses, just to match others. Gen X, they ignored that noise. They focused on their own path. Success for them wasn't likes or appearances, it was control, security, and options. Think about your own habits. How often do you buy or spend just to fit in or feel ahead? That behavior quietly drains money, energy, and freedom. Gen X knew the secret. Wealth grows quietly, invisibly, and consistency beats showiness every time. They didn't need validation, they needed results. They also avoided regret. People who constantly chase others often realize too late that they're financially exposed. Even small choices matter. Skipping the upgrade your phone every year trap lets money compound instead of vanish. Gen X built boundaries around their money and lifestyle. They said no to outside pressure, yes to long-term goals. The result? Fewer regrets, more security, and a life where choices, not comparisons, define the path forward. Mastering this mindset is just as important as saving or investing. It's the invisible foundation holding everything else together. This is the hidden principle that explains why most people stay stuck, and Gen X didn't. Wealth isn't built in leaps. It's built quietly, by choices most people overlook. Gen X didn't rely on luck, timing, or flashy income. They mastered mindset, behavior, and tiny consistent actions that compound over decades. Every decision, every dollar, every habit was intentional. Ask yourself, are your decisions serving your future self or just keeping you comfortable today? Comfort now often costs freedom later. Gen X understood this. They controlled spending, resisted comparison, used fear productively, delayed gratification, and invested consistently. Even small choices mattered. Skipping a trendy car upgrade and putting that money into an index fund quietly builds security over years. They created friction that forced awareness. They prioritized options over appearance, and over time, it added up to a life of freedom, control, and peace of mind most people only dream about. You don't need to be a millionaire to start. You just need awareness and intention. Every tiny choice compounds. Every avoided trap adds to your security. Follow this blueprint, and you can build a life where money serves you, not the other way around. That's the Gen X advantage, and it's available to anyone willing to start today.